ourselves. So if you just acknowledge that, thank you. Before I come to you, Diana, and hear your exciting and probably very different angle on this, I'm just going to pick up on a couple of little things here briefly, and then we can go further into that if it so evolves, Joanne, and what you said. So again, I find this interesting that you should use it for personal use to search for things like Linnea's doing with gardening. You're doing it with you did it with travel and probably other things as well. And that is amazing. You got this wonderful agenda, perhaps if I use that term for it. And I want to say to that that we had an exhibitor around travel, so I know that teaching your chat GPT, for example, there's a very specific or great way how you can do that. So that is what this exhibitor has done and is doing to really teach it to be very specific on segments of your business or segments of your clientele. So you might have, this group of people, target audience from a marketing speak, or you might have this one. You can actually set that up very specifically. So the use of this AI goes much beyond what most of us understand, I think, at this point in time. Yes, we're using, or you're using it for searching for questions to find answers, even in the personal area, but there's much more definitely for our business in that. And I like that you are involved with the Queensland government. So Joanne and myself, we are in Queensland and Australia. The government often is quite forward, I think, in their approach to things. And so that is really important on a global scale. We have to keep tabs on what's happening with all these things. I mean, social media is one thing, and that is murky waters, if I can use that terminology for that, because we don't always know exactly what a platform it takes from us in terms of information. It certainly gives us a lot of information for things that, where it wants to keep us in this echo chamber, in this mini micro whatever community. And I know Linnea has more on that around LinkedIn and to talk about. So I find that really interesting, Joanne. And I think from what you've shared, you now have a new expansion of thinking how this would work for you to look at your own expertise to put that in there so that you and your name and your expertise comes up when searches are conducted. Excellent information and points that you've raised there. Let's go to Diana if you are ready. Diana, from an accounting, so financial perspective, which is unique to different countries for example, that whole financial scenario, what you have to report, what you don't have to, that alone in the business area can be much more tricky than what we, the others here in the room, are doing. But AI still has a place. Now you can just use it in smaller ways. But overall, from your own experience so far and your thinking about it, what do you see as its great direction or perhaps not so great direction?
Yes, my both use of it and probably the professional use of it is probably somewhat different because so much of what I do incorporates a whole raft of legislations, and the inside of my head is, you know, somewhat of a shambles, um, because so much of what I do is strategic planning.
Yeah.
And in financial services regime in Australia, we're under obviously some limitations of we can't just use AI in general, chat GPT. We don't know what the source and the credibility of the responses would be. And there are now specific AI platforms where we can ask the questions and it only sources and cites the legislative references that we are allowed to use, which we've implemented in our business because the strategic planning is very personalized, customized. There's so much of the people factor in that. And to be honest, I don't really see how AI can take that part where you are working with particular personalities, belief systems, demographics, conditioning, their current financial scenario, family situations within businesses or other situations that will play out, whether that's staff or customers or what have you. Obviously, we bring into things like market conditions, tariffs, commodities. Here in rural Victoria and New South Wales and South Australia, very widespread drought at the moment. So, these are things that all come into our strategic planning. The numbers are a relatively small part of that, tax strategies and so on. I confess I do a lot of business development with people in other parts of the world. I don't pretend to and don't intend to know the tax systems. Obviously, the US, they're different in each state. Australia, we have all the state ones and the federal ones and a few curly things thrown in, and it's a moving target. That's enough for me to remember. But that's where we're using AI in the strategic planning, double checking the application of legislative requirements, compliance, changes, upgrades, whatever's in the pipeline. And then, of course, having all the references around our advice, because our advice is very customized and tailored on a personal level. So things like deeds of family arrangement and business development plans and marketing plans and stuff, and leadership and things like that, time management and, of course, money. But that's bringing in a lot of different threads, including, some psychology and neuroplasticity and epigenetics and all those sorts of things that we don't normally put labels onto business clients, but that's all coming into it. And, their communication styles within their businesses. So whether you go back to Myers-Briggs things or DISC things or kinesthetic versus auditory versus linear, all that stuff comes into it, but not necessarily, articulated. So the references that we can use are just a myriad, but the financial services regime trumps all of that stuff. And so for us, it's more about the referencing and the documentary evidence of the advice, the strategies, the compliance, boundaries and parameters that we're working within. And then overlaying that with the personal.
Absolutely. I think what stands out to me from what you're sharing, what you've just shared here, is this enormous, absolutely need for segmentation of generally things in the world and segmentation of what we individually do, segmenting. Now you have several businesses. I know that you've got the agribusiness, so you're doing that one. You've got the Shinet business behind you there, which goes a lot into the mindset as well. They all do. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying, they're particularly, and as you mentioned, you have the rural, the national, the rural here within this country, and you do the global as well. So segmenting what you could or might want to do in the future with AI's help would then become what you would need to look at. And it is certainly, in the experience I have so far, and I use ChatGPT like Linnea shared, is absolutely possible. And I can see sort of little Q&A type scenarios where you create them on this particular area or segment of what you have expertise and what you share it in. And it's not going to be around legislation and financial things, but it's going to be about the foundational steps of strategic approach to wealth mindset, to planning for wealth, for us other ladies in this room, for example, on a general level, what are the steps we need to look at to create wealth and stay in that mindset? So there could be a Q&A scenario that you can actually set up within a ChatGPT, where we get the link and we ask our questions and it gives us the answers that you have inputted, if that's correct English, I'm not sure. So that would be one thing. And then that would be the call to action at the bottom. Now call Diana for a one-on-one session. Now, isn't that exciting? I think that's really exciting.
Fabulous. Thank you.
What I could see there. And I think what we have established in this expo, where we are each having gifts of our own, and we are gifting them to each other and everyone else out there who is open to being gifted. We've established this already in the last day, that it is always exciting when we come together in a session like this, how new ideas spark and new ways are being discovered, and where the collaboration really comes into play, because from this now, who knows? Diana and Linnea might have something that they hadn't discovered before, but has now come out of something that I've said, or that Joanne said, or any which combination that we have here in this room. So for that reason, I want to put this gift out there to everyone to be open to listening and understanding an approach someone else has. It may or may not be the right approach for you, but be open to hear it. I think that's a really big point to be making. Ladies, would one of you like to carry on a little bit more around this topic of the AI, or are you sort of ready to move into a different direction? Yes, Linnea, go for it.
I would certainly like to continue to discuss this because I think this has a lot of ramification for all our businesses. I think it's going to affect us personally and professionally much more in 26 than it has in 25, and it has been huge in 25. Not only has AI made huge changes and leaps forward itself, but so have we and how we are using it. And so the idea that you just shared about the link to with sending people a link to something to do with your AI, which I'm going to explore with you later because I hadn't thought of that, and that sounds like a great idea to me, is one of those things that I think that a lot of us are finding in our journey with AI, is that it is allowing us to think in different directions ourselves. Now, one of the things I do like about ChatGPT particularly, although it does seem to have stopped this at the moment, is that at the end of an output it gives you, it says, would you like me to do A or B? And often I will find it gives me options that I've never even thought of, hadn't even considered, sometimes not even sure what it means. And so because I've got an inquiring mind and I'm really open to learning new things, I say, I'll have both, thank you very much indeed, and see where it takes me. So not only are we using it, I think technically, but we are using it also to open our minds to new ideas, new opportunities, and new ways of working. And I think that whole idea of finding new ways of working is something that is going to become increasingly important in our businesses if we want to remain relevant. One of the subgroups of my Linkability community is looking at how we as businesses and business owners can be visible through AI. How can we be discoverable? How can AI find us and then surface our ideas and our opinions and our information to other people, while at the same time hopefully labeling us as the experts in that field, as you've really pointed out, Sigrid. And I think there is an awful lot for all of us to learn, and it's going to be a really interesting exercise next year to see how we are visible in other places and not just LinkedIn. I've worked for nearly a decade just inside the LinkedIn ecosphere, and now I'm thinking a bit more widely than just LinkedIn. I'm thinking more, what other platforms can I be using AI on to get my message out there? So looking at YouTube in a bit more detail, looking at Substack, for example, and other places where we can be found and our customers are lurking, because at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is to get our message out to more people. And the ways that we are able to do that, I think, are increasing. For example, it's very easy to use LLM to create Notebook LM, my apologies. To be clear, that's Notebook LM, to easily create a podcast for you that you can then send out to people. Instant podcasting. Now, how exactly, Sigrid? Who knew that that was possible? It probably wasn't possible 6 months ago. But 5 years ago, we weren't even able to do what we are doing right here, right now, and having a conversation across thousands of miles and around the world. So I think that there are going to be so many leaps forward that are going to take us an awful lot of understanding, not only how to use them, but what we can do with them. And that's the exciting bit for me, is having conversations like this where I can pick up new ideas and go, I hadn't thought of that.
Yes, and that's really the cue here to create some sort of a round table just around that. Now, there's a lot of opportunities out there about learn this about AI or come to such and such, or getting all this information out there around AI. I've seen a lot of that, and sometimes from the emails I'm getting from a whole variety of different marketing and SEO type connected companies, that's my area, my industry. I find that they seem to be all saying the same thing or picking up from someone else, just rewording it, like repackaging it, but it's the same thing. And ultimately, the pricing that they already offer for taking up those offers vary greatly. And I can see in these early stages, early days of it, that some of them are outrageous because they're not offering anything better or more than someone else from what I can see there. And yet it is out there. And the person who doesn't know enough about it, will be able to take it further. So I think having conversations like this is really important with people that are in business, practically in business, and really have the desire not only to want to know, but to also be open to share. Again, coming back to the gifting theme of this particular expo that we are in. Joanne, you've got something you'd like to contribute.
Yeah, and I think somebody shared with me the other day, and it was made so much sense. Do we remember when SEO became a thing, and then all these experts popped up, right? All these experts popped up to say, we have this service, we're going to teach you how to do this, and we're going to charge you a whole bunch of money to learn that. Well, now it happens seamlessly in the background, all those sort of things. Our chat commands helps us. We write a post, give us the meta description, all those things happens really seamlessly. So I think we're on that tidal wave as we speak with AI. There's this amazing array of people who have expertise or perceived expertise offering things to help us improve that. And the government meeting that I was in was sharing that is creating overwhelm in itself, in that, well, which shiny toy do you go and explore, or which one do you go, oh, that sounds really lovely, I think I'll just put it there for another day, and that another day never comes. So like all new technology, like I can give me a new technology and I'm down there like a rabbit hole and can lose a lot of time. I think we need to think carefully about our use of it so that we do spend our time wisely. I've only just started using the other two platforms to explore and realize that they serve me different purposes for each one, and I'm very clear about what I use each one for. And I think through this conversation, hopefully we're helping people to understand that it's here to stay. We need to go with the flow. Don't push against it. I know a lady who does sales, and everything is handwritten on a piece of paper. Doesn't have a CRM, doesn't have anything, and that's her thing. She will not use AI at all. She's an amazing lady, amazing saleswoman, and she shares her craft incredibly well. But she's very much sticking to paper. I fear for her that she will get lost in this wave of AI. And I think for our audience is to help them to understand that dip your toes in, learn one thing. Like Linaire said, she was just using it for one thing. That's what I was using it for, and it just it expands. If there's one tip that I've used, that I've implemented in my AI work, is that I've created a tone of voice document. And so I created a doc with the help of chat, of course, crafted how I wanted to say what words are not okay, what words are correct for me to use. And I keep loading it in. Every now and then I just go, remember, we've got this thing. Please refer back to that. But when you use that tone of voice document, or even for you, Diana, it's remember to look at this legislation. And I love that you have your industry has an AI tool that serves you, that protects the information, because one of the things I often will use it for is I get a document sent to me, I'll pop it in, because make me proofread something, it hurts my brain. I'll put it into chat and say, can you tell me the things I should be aware of, the risks, what should I be mindful of, point out the clauses that I should read. And I find that incredibly useful. in my due diligence of reading documents and so on and so forth. So it's not to overwhelm, but it's to just, if you don't do anything but just try one thing and just expand slowly, and don't feel overwhelmed by it, because there is a lot of overwhelm, and lots of women I speak to who simply won't touch it, a bit like not because they think it's rubbish, it's because, ooh, am I going to lose myself in this thing? Am I not going to sound like me? And I think you absolutely can.
So true, you absolutely can. And like I said before with Diana, I think there are huge opportunities, untapped opportunities, and they're not coming to us easily. You know, when we think about it, I have been introduced to something, an email list that I am on. They've put such a tool that I mentioned what you could do, perhaps, Diana, they've put that actually together. At this point in time, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't explored it into the background enough. I've just played with it in the foreground. I'm not sure whether they are using it to actually have it as an offer, so a payable offer, or whether they are using it to get more information about the type of questions people ask, or in this industry area that this person operates in. So I don't want to be too open on it at the moment, making it a bit more mysterious. But it does exactly that. You input a question on that area of expertise, and the expertise has been inputted into the AI, and it will then come up with the type of answers that the person normally, for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, would give you. So the idea here is openly that you can access this information through this simple to use tool. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's a payable one at this stage. I have played with it because it was offered to me through this list that I'm on. But the way that it is done, I can see that as an opportunity for each one of us here and for everyone else out there in business to make use of something like that. Diana, you're looking like you're quite curious, or you might have an inputted information. Go for it. Share what you'd like.
I was just going to say I might need to engage the three of you to handle that for me, because my head is already full.
Yes, you are, because of all the different segments of your business that you already have. And this is probably going to be an opportunity when people say, oh, AI is going to replace me. Well, turn that around and think, what could I do in, around, or with AI to help others? So somebody like Diana, who has got a big business and different strands to it, or different segments of it in different areas, if you know how to use and put together and create something that could help clients on a open level, not an intricate financial level, but on an open level, to create a first plan, strategic plan, or the questions they need to ask themselves, something like that, Diana would be open, or anyone like her. I'm not putting you in the position of looking for employees here. But I'm saying that there are opportunities, I think, that many haven't thought about yet either. And discussing it, having a discussion or a round table, I like that idea very much. So we might have a look at that, Linnea, Joanne, and perhaps even Diana somewhere on the sidelines. You always make time when need be. So it's.
Sigrid, I think it's I think it's a bit like when you get a new phone. You know, you put it off for ages because then you know you're going to have to start again in loading and learning how the things work and so on. And unlike Joanne, I am not an early adopter. I'm like, somebody figure it all out and then just tell me which buttons to push, because I don't have time or the inclination to sit and fiddle around with it. So I think for a lot of people, when, you know, Joanne was talking about the lady with her pen and paper, or, you know, that's often still me, partly because our connectivity everywhere is, you know, terrible. I'm saying everywhere because even when I go to Melbourne or Sydney, you know, all the way there and wherever I am, and certainly in all our country areas, which are not particularly remote, they're still, you know, like just near the Hume Freeway and things like that. But, you know, I think a lot of people will be putting off the whole, oh, I've got to get my head around, I've got to learn how to use it. You know, that's the pain point. If you can just somebody else, and I've got a couple of staff in my team who this is their sorts of things, and obviously we've got so much software for all the different work that we do with corporate and super funds and ASIC and obviously tax and you know, everything else. that we've got to be, across, and they're continually upgrading, and thinking, well, it wasn't broken, why have you upgraded it? And so for me, I'm forever having to learn and juggle all these different applications and softwares. So I get other people to figure it out and just tell me the parts I need to know. That's really what me, and I think for a lot of people, becomes the hurdle, the barrier, the resistance. Look, I'll wait till it's sorted out and someone just tells me what to do, rather than I have to do all the exploration on it.
I think that's excellent, and you've just raised a point for me to put out into this particular session here. The Global Online Expo, our Expos of Impact, the current one being the Inspired Gift Fair, for example, it appears perhaps visitors are hesitant. They don't know the platform. They don't know exactly how to log in. When they're in there, they don't really know where to go. Here's the thing. There is an easy to follow instruction, tutorial, training, whatever word you would like to use that fits you best, page that you are getting. So when you register to come into the expo, the first link you're getting is to this page that shares simply, easily, straightforward, with visuals, text, and video, how to navigate the platform. And it is not difficult. It is virtually just like being out there in social media. All you need to look at is, where do I click? Who do I find? How do I find them? And it's just a matter of logging into the platform and clicking to go to our exhibitors booth. There's just one place where you will find them. So it's quite straightforward. No hesitation to be had. I want to put that out there so that there is no fear. And I'll put this call out again to all of the viewers to this session, whether you're listening right now or you're listening for the rest of this day, which is for us in Australia, Saturday. And then you're listening to the end of this, so check it in your time tool. You can register. I've just put the registration link specifically for you as a special gifted visitor to receive our gifts. We have a bunch of really informative PDFs, information in the expo on our booth individually. So when you are ready, register there and you will receive the details. You will receive exactly how to navigate the expo and grab those information PDFs from each of us. So don't miss out on any of them. Come on in and do that. It's a special time for additional visitors to get to know what an expo is about and what this expo particularly is about. Needed to put that in there. So ladies, shall we move from the AI and segment across into increasing who we are connected to, increasing engagement on social media, in particular on LinkedIn? Linnea has already shared with us, and one of her gifts is exactly that, how to create further engagement by giving you all the details on how LinkedIn has changed recently, for example, but also getting engagement, increasing who you are connected to by looking at how Diana does that in her business, for example, and Joanne, of course, to get some different angles on how each one does that, and myself, how I do it with networking. So I want to put the question there for all of us to answer. How do you yourself grow your audience and increase engagement with your audience? And is that social media only, or are you doing it on other platforms or in other ways? Now, we might kick it off with the LinkedIn. Is that all right with everyone if we're going to Joanne? Because we are live streaming into LinkedIn, and everyone who's watching will be on LinkedIn at this point in time. Linnea, you've got an extensive document in the expo as a gift for visitors that can come and grab it off your expo booth inside the Global Online Expo. It's not necessarily for you to give us all that information now. We want the visitors to come and take it because there's so much to talk about. The gist of it. What is the gist of creating more creating more contacts and increasing engagement? Is there a magic formula? I know the magic wand sits up there with Diana, but let's just bring it in spirit down to you. What's the magic formula for that?
Let's just back up a bit and just say that LinkedIn has changed a lot in 2025. What underpins it, what makes it work, it has changed, and there's a whole new way of LinkedIn working, and that involves AI, which of course we've just been talking about. But what I did mention earlier was the fact that posting is not the key strategy anymore. Engagement on LinkedIn is the key strategy. So what does that mean? What does that look like? And it means commenting on people's posts. It means reaching out to people and having conversations, actually talking to people. It means building your network with people who are like-minded, people you want to get to know, and again, having those conversations. But it's also about being clear about who you are and what you do, so that when anybody visits your profile, which is also part of this new push by LinkedIn to make sure that your posts get seen by the right people, your profile is important, and you need to come across in that as being a person who is giving. That's what we're talking about today, who is giving and sharing of information and ideas. And I think that it's important to walk the talk. So I've put together a playbook that is available on my booth. That is about how this whole new system of LinkedIn is now operating, what it means, how it works, and what you can do with it to ensure that you get in front of the audience that you are looking for. So how am I using that? I'm using it by making sure that what I talk about is very clear. I talk about LinkedIn. I talk about AI for LinkedIn. I talk about new features for LinkedIn. That's about it, really. Oh no, I talk about gardening in LinkedIn. Four different things. But I'm very clear about that's what I am talking about. And if you are clear about that, and everybody you are who's reading your content knows what it is you stand for, then I think that that's the key thing. But for me, my whole ethos on LinkedIn from day one has been giving and sharing of ideas. And so that's what people will find in this playbook that is available on my booth in the brochures area. So thank you for the idea for me to put it there and to make it available to people. Sigrid.
Excellent, excellent. So I have not had an in-depth look at it. I've just browsed it, but I know there's a lot in there, and it is definitely a valuable document to download at the expo from your expo booth. What just stood out for me from what you've shared is that to increase engagement, if we want to increase engagement, we have to be the ones engaging. We have to take that first step. And that comes back to this whole philosophy or thing that we are doing around the Inspired Gift Fair. We are gifting. While we are gifting first, the gifts will come back to us in various forms, whether they are tangible gifts or they are gifts of ideas, gifts of collaboration. So the gifts will come back when you engage with others, then they will come back and engage you. It's not so much about the posting, which in a way is good. You don't have to think too much about the posting as such, perhaps, but on the other hand, takes up a lot of time individually to seek out where am I going to engage, how long will I engage, and who will I engage with. I think that's going to perhaps be, equally time taking in what we want to achieve there. So really, really interesting to look at it that way. I'm just going to jump across to Diana. Diana, when you think about engaging or creating engagement with people. Now, I know you are very busy in your business because you have several segments of it there, and each one is bringing a lot of questions in and people wanting to know more and work with you in the different areas. But when you think about you need to get more engagement sometimes, maybe at an event that you put up, is there particular strategy, particular thing that you look at using to engage or increase engagement?
As Linnea said, have conversations with people. It's being relatable and learning about them, asking questions. For me, it's showing up at every opportunity. So if that means that you don't get much sleep, then that's how that is. It's giving of yourself, sharing your gifts and value freely, because as you say, I absolutely believe that that comes back in a myriad of ways. It's not about money for money and, you know, this quid pro quo thing and, you know, I'll do this for you if you'll do that for me. It's not this trade-off bartering thing. It's showing up and being your best self in every opportunity, regardless of who else is doing what, because you are your brand. So for me, it's changing my style or language or narrative around communicating, depending on the target audience, the demographic, the age, the event, the where am I, and what is relevant, and what's my role in that. Because yeah, having a few different hats to wear, you know, what's my brief? I'll stay in my lane around that. For me, I've always made a point of following up everyone I meet. So when I meet people at networking events, or I've just had a conversation with them somewhere, I've grabbed their details. I'm not here to bombard them, but I usually follow up with an email saying, it was lovely to meet you at such and such. I hope you got home to Geelong all right, or attended your little boy's soccer game, or your mum's birthday party, or whatever it happened to be. I usually attach a couple of articles either that I've written or that have been written about me that have some value of content relevant to whatever we've spoken about, or a connection to someone else in the space that might be able to assist them, you know, whatever was relevant. So following up, because to me, that's the anchor, and that extra little bit of service and sharing and gifting without an expectation of anything. It's just to say, it was lovely to meet you. Hope you got home, you know, some personalized. And after a personalized follow-up, we do, I just do a quarterly newsletter because I think we all get enough. But the amount of work or follow-up conversations I get from that, sometimes years later. And I guess for me, it's always about you are your brand. You know, we have the yellow, we walk our talk, we do the magic wands. I get given yellow things all the time, like, you know, little toys and coffee mugs and all sorts of things. So it's being memorable, and even that, it's about being fun and uplifting. You know, that stands out, particularly in a business setting. A lot of the things we do are rural or agricultural or whatever, so it's not so much that you're surrounded by navies and greys, but certainly in any business setting, we turn up in yellow. We're very we casual. We jeans and boots kind of people, and we yellow, and we do the fun and funky stuff. So I've got yellow top hats and yellow capes and yellow bow ties, and, you know, depending on what it is, it's just being you know, memorable with the branding. In terms of social media, I am more ad hoc with that. We certainly use it. We share lots of things that have relevance within our broader demographic. And because I travel a lot, what I try to do is just share pictures or snippets or something of my travels. So that will be in different rural areas, or it might be something that I've seen, or something that I'm supporting, or an event I've spoken at, or whatever it might be. Occasionally it might be, you know, fun and funky. I was sent some Hereford socks the other day, so I'm going to put a picture of those because I've got a bit of a sock thing. For anyone that knows me, I do odd socks because it's all about building new neural pathways and, you know, challenging the old belief systems. So I'll put things like that because that gets a lot of engagement in the space I work in, and it keeps it fresh and interesting and sort of unexpected. And when I work with people, or people come across my path, or perhaps I meet people, they say, oh, I've been watching your stuff for ages, someone or other mentioned you to us a while ago. I generally send people to have a look at our social media, because to me that's the best encapsulation of sort of what we do across the space, depending on where they fit into that. So it's a bit of the conventional, traditional stuff. It's a bit of the more digital and social media and electronic communication. But I agree with Linaire, and I know Joanne said the same thing yesterday. It's about being authentic, showing up, connecting with people, communicating, you know, bringing in the empathy or the, you know, just the integrity to those conversations, that you're really, truly connecting and communicating with those people.
You've made a very important point here. I'm not sure whether you realize that, Diana. When we were talking about the AI before, and this is something that comes up in the AI discussions a lot, staying authentic. Now, you said you're personalizing, you're sending a message to somebody, you said, oh, how did you go with your son's soccer game? Now, AI, there's no way AI will know that unless you've inputted in it. And that is what's going to always keep us humans human and keep that human touch and that authenticity that we cannot be replaced. They would not know that. So when we keep being genuinely, authentically ourselves, and we make these connections on a deeper level, which is that personalized level. You talk to somebody, we all know that one of our exhibitors did have an accident this morning. We're all hoping and thinking about her, that everything is going well for her, and that she will be on her way with other things that she's doing today. And if she can't be here, we are still thinking of her. And that is something very personal. Only we know. AI does not know that. So we can wish her well from here. So that was a really interesting, important point. I don't think you realized that while you were sharing that, Diana. Thank you.
I don't think we'll ever lose, any of us, the appreciation of that personalization. Using people's name, making a reference to, oh, last time we spoke, you were going to be, heading off on a holiday. How was that? Or those sorts of things, because that just shows that we've put a genuine care factor and taken the time and effort to remember or make a note or whatever. Even in my CRM, I'll usually put where I met people, but I'll put a little comment. I had a lovely yellow jacket, or was heading off to Vietnam, or was doing something. Because that's an anchor that you can just bring up, and even just by writing it, normally then I remember it. So if they ring me, I've already got it anchored in there. But I don't. That's where I have this little bit of a quandary with AI. I think it works for lots of that factual, intellectual stuff. My level of comprehension of it doesn't quite get where we can bring in some of the more complete mishmash of factual, intellectual, and whether you call it the emotional or psychological or whatever side of things, which is where my space is.
I think we can in time to come, and we can to some extent now, as long as we pay the attention to it and make the time to use it. But that's on a completely different level. But I agree with you. As long as we stay individually and personalized with the people we connect with in a way that no one else at that point in time will know about, I think that's really important. Great point, Diana. Thank you for sharing that. Joanne, in your world of getting engagement, engaging, growing your audience, what's happening for you? What tips do you have? What works? What does not work? And the social media platforms, is LinkedIn your predominant one, or are you spreading across more than one?
Yes, the LinkedIn is my predominant one. And so what am I doing there? I will absolutely post regularly, but I'm spending much more time on comments. And an example is that through guidance from Sigrid, she gave me some great advice a little while ago about speaking about one point on a post. So I make a concerted effort to do that, and they go out 3 times a week. But I've also been spending a lot more time in crafting well-versed comments. And to be clear, it is not, I like this lands, this hits, all those words, they just don't, it's not language that I will ever use. But the interesting thing is, and whilst I don't get caught up in impressions and the numbers and all that on LinkedIn, because they are all over the place, but I'm actually finding way more impressions, if you want to put a number to it, on comments than I am on posts at the moment, massively more. And some of them are nearly as long as a post, the comment, within the boundaries of the character limit on LinkedIn. So I do spend more time with that. I'm currently looking at an option using AI to help me with posts. I'll still craft them, but using AI to get them on there and all that sort of stuff within the bounds of LinkedIn rules. But I have said to this person, I will never delegate the commenting. This always will be me, and I just lock away half an hour every morning to do that, or in the afternoon. If I don't get it done in the morning because of events such as this, I'll put a concerted, and it's blocked out in my calendar. so that I don't miss it. But I've also just discovered Substack, which you mentioned, Lynette, and I went, well, this looks very interesting. I think I'm going to go and explore that quietly without getting lost in the new shiny toy syndrome. And it lands me very nicely with my gift in my booth, which is the first of my series of small pocket books. They're mentoring books. And the first one is The Circle of Boundaries. And I think this lands very beautifully in this conversation because a lot of business owners aren't setting boundaries for what they do in their business and what they say yes to. Because as particularly women, we are old school. We are versed in saying yes to everything because we are nurturers. We want to give, we want to share, we want to keep doing this thing, and that can become quite overwhelming. So the little pocket book, which is literally 16 pages long, but it gives you a little exercise to work out where are you putting boundaries in your business. So where are you going down this rabbit hole of getting lost in things? Where are you saying yes to too many things and therefore putting, spreading yourself way too thin? So go find that. I'm not going to speak any more about that. I'm a bit excited about it. It's the first one of a series of 10. So watch this space. There will be more coming. They'll get printed. They'll come in a nice little box. It'd be great if I could get a circle box. A whole other idea. let's not go there. That'd be cool.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, I like that
box.
idea, and it's a tangible thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be a tangible thing. But what else am I doing? I will go find places that I can get articles and then I can share them on LinkedIn. So there are many, many, many opportunities for people in business to have articles that you write and get put into online magazines and physical magazines. I will do that till the cows come home. I will not, if I can find an opportunity to write an article that speaks and enables me to share my message, a bit like Lynette, slicing and dicing event transcripts and putting them in. I remember speaking about this during COVID about, the fact that we needed to get on the phones, get on videos and start sharing because we couldn't go to face things.
Mm.
And I've always spoken about the fact if you do a video of one key point that you want to get across and it's like 2.5 minutes, you can slice and dice that into about 20 different things. And we now have the beauty of AI that will let us do that. It will put it into short posts, long posts, blogs, snippets of video, long video. So even one short video that you're going to talk about, one key point, you can slice and dice that into so many different elements across different platforms. And why wouldn't you do that? So that's something that I've spoken about for years and years and years. And it was to share the point that you don't have to do 50 videos, just do one, and then suddenly you might have a month's worth of content that you can slice and dice it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, think outside the square. How can you repurpose material? And I know, Lynette, you've spoken about this many a time. Go have a look in your past posts that have done incredibly well and reserve them to your audience because the person who saw it last time probably isn't going to be the same person who sees it again. Go republish that, reshare it, or repurpose it into something different. So that's some of the things.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. And I'm just going to come back to this pocketbook. I can see that, for example, as well, being one of the little AI ones set up in the background where all they need to do is click the link and then they get the information in that way. Now, I'm not saying that that is better or worse. I'm just putting it out there as an option or an opportunity. Because here's the thing that's come to me just now with that, but also yesterday already on our day one of the Inspired Gift Fair Expo, in the various presentations and discussions we had there, it's come through that there are other generations that handle things differently, and they are not necessarily into tangible or looking at the platforms we who are in this room looking at, for example. So moving forward, all of us, as we said earlier, we need to be open to explore and open to be available and visible in different ways, perhaps. And if we can have one way that we just set it up once and then it works, I mean, that's always tops, isn't it? So, something perhaps to create this round table for us here to explore that kind of a direction for all of us in one small way, and then we can expand it from there. I think that really was something that stood out You mentioned Substack, and Linnea has mentioned that as well. Now, I have some years ago, when I had the Sticky Beak marketing agency in a much more forefront way, I was involved in all the different platforms. I got to, educate myself on all of them so that I could share it with clients and do it in presentations, which one was good for what and so on. But that was in the early days when each of them had just really small ways of how you were using it, and certain primary ways that you could use it, and less so. And it was easy to follow it all. And then it became more and more difficult. So then I've really pulled back on all of it, and I was only doing Facebook, and then got into LinkedIn, and I just found that LinkedIn is much more business oriented. While it was started, Linnea, as you know, more for employment and employees and HR, the business side has really taken off there, while I find the Facebook much less. While everybody posts about business there that I see and talks about it, when you connect or contact them around business, they kind of say, no, I don't want to know anything about this, and I don't want to be sold to, even though it's not selling, it's trying to engage in conversation. So at this point, I'm certainly sticking with LinkedIn. I'm showing it now. We're here live streaming into it and engaging and encouraging our viewers here to come to us and get to know us more. And I just want to mention this again. The Global Online Expo is running live right now, and we are inviting to have new visitors for a special visitation opportunity to register. I've popped it into the comments of this live stream here to pick up the link there, register, and have a special time where you can visit each of our active exhibitors and go to their exhibition booth to download their gifts from their stand there, from their booth. There we have special gifts. It's all about gifting. So before I go too far off the topic, I just wanted to finish on for myself. YouTube is definitely another area that I am looking at, because I do like video, and I think like this being live and particularly talking to others shows we are real. We are humans. We can go deeper into topics and ourselves and experiences. And so I think that will be very important moving into the future. Now, it's not always about spending a lot of time, but it's spending that valuable or specific time, as you said, Joanne, being very specific in our output there. So I think around the topic or our discussion on experience, growing our audience and increasing engagement, we have definitely drilled into that one. Thank you to each of you to share what you do and what you would perhaps say others could have a look at doing as well. Again, to our viewers, make sure you come and take the opportunity to come to the expo, the online expo. It is easy. You don't have to travel. You don't have to spend any money on tickets to come anywhere in particular in the world. But all you do is log in online when you get your details, your registration details, and you can see all of us, our individual expo booth with information about who we are, what we do, and particularly our gifts that you can download in the form of digital PDFs. All right. Any more comments on this particular discussion that we're having from you, or we are fine to move over into the next area of topic, which is I had listed here the experiences that some people are having and have had that I know of. The experience of choosing the right coach or mentor. And sometimes the expectation or the question by somebody seeking is, now, does this coach, this mentor really know my business? Can they really help me? Is one thing that I personally have experienced. Now, I did that, in the marketing agency, and I always found that it's not for me at that time with that, it wasn't about whether I knew their industry that I could help them with marketing. It was about that I knew what they were doing and the target audience that they had. And that was usually the area where they're letting themselves fall flat because they themselves did not understand it. Wasn't their industry, wasn't their expertise in the industry. It was about the connection to their customers or their clients where the shortfall was. So looking at for you, when you have clients or prospects coming to you that are looking to want to be clients, wanting to be mentored or coached by you, what do you experience there? Do you get questions around that they are asking for qualifications, or are they more looking at your expertise? What is the predominantly questions they are asking, and what should they ask? More to the point, what should they ask? What's more important from your perspective on sharing or coaching, mentoring someone? Who would like to kick us off on that one? Have you had enough time? Yep, Joanne, go ahead.
One of my pet topics, I have to say. So I'm glad you've raised it.
Right.
I'm going to put a little bit of context to this comment. I recently finished my master's degree earlier in the year, and the research project was to understand coaching and women in business. Because what behavior I have seen over the past is, female entrepreneurs didn't have a clear sense that there is actually a coach for every micro moment in business. There are 4 ladies here who have an expertise in a particular area of business. And so there's not that great awareness that there is actually a coach mentor that sits in every level of that. And what I've also noticed is a lot of people don't secure a coach until the proverbial hits the fan. They're not using it as a risk mitigation tool, if I use corporate speak. And it was super interesting. There was lots of surveys, lots of interviews to reveal that aspect of coaching. And so for me, how many times I've heard somebody say, I've secured a life coach who's going to help me with my business strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say to them, do you actually understand what you just said? There's a complete disconnect between, and there's nothing against life coaching. There's absolutely a reason for them, and something that I don't do. Don't ask me to do that piece, but I will definitely do something for coaching strategy. But what I also notice is there's a lack of interview, if you will, of the person that you're potentially going to be working with. If you're going to work with a financial coach, ask them, how's your finances? If you're working with a marketing coach, how's your marketing? I was speaking to a lady overseas the other day who's asking me to use her for marketing. And she made the comment, my marketing's actually terrible on my business. And I went, really? You're a marketing person. Why is not your marketing brilliant? Because that's going to be your best landing page, your best experience, your best showcasing of what you do. But there's not enough questions to say, if you're a business strategist, the person who needs a business strategist, what is your strategy like? How's that going? If you're a sales coach, how's your sales going? Asking these questions, because what we've seen as a tidal wave into the coaching space is a tidal wave of people landing out of corporate, starting businesses. I've done this stuff in corporate or in other areas. I'm now going to pop up a shingle. And that's the problem with this industry. If there is one, there's no formalized entry point. You can simply stick up a shingle and say, I'm this expert. So wonderful. And these people who are landing most definitely do have a wonderful amount of expertise. But if you're looking for a business coach, how many businesses have you owned? Well, just this one. Great. So how's it going? How long have you been doing it? Let's check the credibility so that you know that they have the skill set to support and guide you. So I could rattle on about this for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm deeply passionate about it, that we are not, business owners are not interviewing the people who are going to work with them to say, what's your credibility? Do you have the runs on the board? And if you don't, well, thank you. It's been wonderful knowing you, but I need somebody who's got runs on the board and know what they're doing and how often they've done it successfully or not. That's a really important distinction for me, is not just go find somebody who's got a great ad and the pricing is terrific, because I've heard of people maxing their credit card, getting a loan off their mortgage to go and pay a very high-end coach only for it not to work out because they haven't quality checked their credibility and their expertise that they are actually going to help them. Because we're feeling desperate in finding somebody to help us, and the sales speak has caught them into this new shiny toy, and they think, oh, this person's going to be amazing, without asking any qualifying questions.
Very, very well said. And a couple of points I want to pick up on. Segmentation, being specific. Yes, a life coach might have a great experience also, or knowledge or expertise with business. It is a very individual thing. I mean, I'm not saying to dismiss that altogether, but like you said, Joanne, it is about finding out what's really there. However, I would say the thing that happens is that when somebody's looking for some help, they are, like you said, in this flurry of, oh, gotta do something has to happen. And so in that moment, logic is switched off and fear is sitting there.
Yeah.
Diana will know, all the brain workings there happening. There's no focus on clarity around what is it I need, what is it I want. So for example, when I was helping clients writing a book, the first thing I would ask, what is it you want to achieve by having the book? What's the outcome? No idea. Most people just had this, I think I should. People have told me da 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 da. No clarity around what they actually want to achieve, with it just something nice to hold up and say, I'm the author of. So the clarity in the moment is really important. And I would venture to say, Joanne, when somebody is going to a life coach, and because the life coach says, yes, I do business coaching as well, in that moment, the clarity for the seeker is not actually there. That's probably how that comes about. So important to put it out there like you do. Thanks, Joanne.
And I think just one key point is a lot of people are searching for a problem to be solved, but sometimes that problem they perceive it to be is actually, there's something actually much deeper.
Absolutely.
Much deeper than that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think only, like you said, when you are a person experienced in business, can you figure that out and can you see that? So I started in business in 2002. So that's quite a long time ago. And I've had several businesses in different industries, each time familiarizing myself with that industry as I had the business. And a lot of that was really valuable through my teams, through the people that were working for me, that they gave me information, but also acquiring it myself through courses and so on. So that gives you, a much bigger, broader variety of understanding of people and of different ways how businesses can be expanded, grown or not, and especially in the area of marketing, my background there. So good point.
And one very small point left is to say, that's the reason why I brought circles together, is that I might be speaking to somebody and I'll go, well, I can help you with this piece, but actually, I now need to refer you to Diana. I now refer you to Sigrid or to Linnea, etc. Because that's the beauty of circle, and that's what I feel is something that coaches don't do as well as they could, because they want to keep that person. But I see, if I can refer you to someone like Diana to get those numbers right and get that strategy in place, the person's going to come back to me anyway, because I've put them in front of someone who's amazing, right? And that's the importance of using circles well.
And that was my other point that I have made here. That's where your circles totally come into play. So great for raising that again. So well said. Now, there may be other angles and other views on how to select or to look at what's a good coach or mentor for me, or when clients come to you or prospects come to you, what do they say? As my original question is, who would like to, Diana or Linnea, who wants to, Diana, have your input on this topic, because you have such a variety of people coming to you. What are they asking? Are they asking you for qualifications in any way? I would imagine they are not, because they have no qualifications themselves, and certainly not in finances.
I think in whatever years it's been, 35, 6, 7, something like that, maybe twice ever anyone has asked about my qualifications. And because of the strategic planning I do, I have to have a whole lot of qualifications, because in financial services industry, there is a lot of demarcation that accountants can only talk about this, financial planners, solicitors, lending, legal, So and then bring in all the mindset stuff. So there's a whole raft of letters that are meaningless to everybody, and I don't usually make a thing of them, but they are there. Pretty much all they ever ask is this, or tell you their issue, their challenge, their problem, which, as Joanne rightly pointed out, that is usually not the actual issue, challenge, or problem. It's normally we need to ask all of the qualifying questions. They don't know. They just know this is a pain point. And as she said, it's normally after it's hit the fan and it's a real pain point. They are just looking for an action to take that is a Band-Aid, that is a quick fix. And if somebody else can do that for them, that would be great. So generally, for me, I listen to their language and note the key points, the things that they bring up as the issues, because that will be the indicator of where their blocks or beliefs are causing the problem. And generally, they're saying this is the problem, so therefore, to me, that's the result you've got. The key question that I put in many different ways, depending on the context, is basically, what belief about life must they have for this result to be showing up or to keep showing up, which will tell you straight away there is the block, the barrier, the belief, the whatever. As Joanne said, it's not always all in my scope, but it'll be a matter of putting a strategy around it, going, here are the parts that we can work on, and here are the parts that I'll bring in this person, or, if they've got that person. But often they don't, because they've never taken any action, which is why they've ended up where they are to start with. And the other point on that is not everyone is my client. I will endeavour to help everyone and certainly give them what I can in that initial chat or whatever it might be. And sometimes it's, do these couple of things and check back with me in a week, or I'll check back with them. They often haven't done them, and because they've done the Band-Aid thing, which was run and see someone. And it's like when we have, an issue and we'll buy a book or we'll download a thing. We might not read said book or article or whatever, but we feel like we've taken an action. So, and I think a lot of people that don't have the discipline or the commitment, or maybe haven't hit the pain point level that is required to make some change, will do the consultation. So I have a little bit of a protocol that if I'm way more concerned about your issue than you are, then, there's a boundary there.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely prepared to help you as much as you need. But this has to be a collaborative thing. So, so not everyone necessarily is a right fit. I don't tend to turn people away, but they'll sometimes eliminate themselves just because I won't hear back. Having said that, sometimes I'll hear back 6 or 12 months later, and then they're in the right space to, right, now I've done it and now I want to keep going. And, so that's just a matter of, where people are calibrated at various times.
I think that's a really valuable point there that you're making, about that it is a collaborative effort when you are working with somebody. Yes, you are tapping into their expertise, but you have to do the work and you have to take on board what is happening, not necessarily to do exactly what they say, but to be stimulated by what they are sharing so that you can take it on board in your own way. But you still have to action things. You can't just sit there and wait. And sometimes in the past, when I've had people say, oh, but don't you do that? I always say, no, I'm not doing that, because I want you, being the business owner, to get to know what's involved in that. You can certainly hire someone, but you need to know what they are actually needing to do, not just what they say they do. And I've seen a lot of that, especially in the SEO and website areas in my day, where there was promised, we're doing all of this. And then when I've come in and had a look at it, and I'm saying to them, no, they haven't done anything like this here in what they promised. So very important for me personally to educate the person I'm working with, and then that they take it on board. I don't do it for them. That's not my approach to the help I offer. Yes, Joanne, you'd like to share, input something?
Just a quick comment on that. if they want you to do it for them, they don't need a coach or a mentor. They actually need to outsource the task.
And that's a danger when they don't even know.
But if they don't know what the problem is,
No, that's right.
that's fraught with danger, therefore.
What is involved in it? Yes, yes. So definitely. Linnea, what's your experience in these areas? You have a variety of offers happening in your business and where you are doing things for clients. Yes, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. But I'd like to look at this more from a mentoring point of view, if that's all right, because my coaching is very niche. It's only LinkedIn. And if anybody comes to me wanting more career advice, I send them to a career coach because that is not my area of expertise. I don't try to give people business advice either. I think it's very important to stay within the bounds of your own expertise, as Joanne has made very clear. Ask the right questions. And anybody who looks at my LinkedIn profile will be able to see that I know what I'm talking about. And I find that by the time people get to me, they generally are already decided they want to work with me because of what they can see off externally on LinkedIn and elsewhere, or they might have been referred. So I'd like to just think about it from a mentoring point of view for a moment, because I think that all of us, whether formally or informally, we rely on mentors. And now whether we call them mentors is another thing altogether. But these are people who are in our networks who know more than we do about certain topics and whom we respect and are happy to learn from. So they show up in all kinds of places. When I was first learning about LinkedIn, my mentors were people who knew more about LinkedIn than I did. Now I consider these people my colleagues and friends because they have taught me an awful lot and been very patient with me. And so I think the idea of informal mentorship is something that we are probably underutilizing in terms of ourselves. We're not putting ourselves out there as mentors. I certainly don't do that, but other people seem to consider me a mentor. And I'm, again, not a formal one, but somebody whose advice they listen to, sometimes follow, sometimes implement, as Diane is saying, and sometimes not. But there are a lot of people out there who just want to ask the questions but don't really want to put the work into putting into place the answers that you have given. So I think that considering ourselves as mentors is another strand to what we offer, even if we're not, people aren't paying us for that. We are giving our information, ideas, and opinions free, and people can use those as they see fit in the business that they are running, that they know about, but we don't. And so when I was young, formal mentoring simply didn't exist. People talked to each other. You learned from talking to people. And you might have had a boss who taught you various things, mainly in the along the lines of, Linnea, don't do it this way. How many times do I have to tell you? And these days it's changed a lot. And I think that we have a lot to learn from each other, which is much more important than learning from AI, if I might just put that in there quietly at the end.
I think that's a fantastic point, Linnea, that we can learn from each other, and I think we should learn from each other. And this is the whole point of the Global Business Networking Live Online that I have created only this year, that I started that formally, because we do learn with every sentence, with every interaction we have, and especially for me, the global input as well. We have moved towards that globalization, to being able to connect with each other. We had a period on time where we were all locked away, and that was the only way to connect was online, and there we did make those global connections. I've always done that previous to that already as well, but many more people discovered that, and I think it is something really valuable and important to continue to connect. First of all, to connect because we do learn in every conversation something, but also to connect to get a whole new angle on something, as I call it. The idea of, are we doing it like this? And even with you, Diana, in the financial area, I could imagine in a session about just discussing finances as such, your input would be valuable to somebody in the US or in Europe, even when you say this is how we do it in this state, in this country, and they might say, oops, we never thought of it doing that. Our government isn't doing that. So there can be an exchange and new information coming together, even on levels of expertise that we perhaps formally cannot apply across those borders, but certainly through the ideas of it in that way. The other point that I wanted to pick up from what you said, Linnea, we don't think about sometimes formally, is it a mentor, is it not a mentor? In the past, now it has become a thing, isn't it? Being either a mentor or a coach. There are all these content posts about what's the difference, how do you have to look at it, and it is always quite surface level in my experience. So I think what is important is that the experience that we have, that comes through in the best ways. And I think, Linnea, you have certainly advocated for us to have testimonials, not just on certain pages, but to using them in our content as well. Testimonials, to me personally, in my experience with it, is a bit of a seesaw. They are absolutely genuine ones out there, and then you have the other side where the scales tip the other way, or the seesaw tips the other way, where it all sounds so fantastic. So I guess you have to look at, if it sounds too good to be true, it might not be actually. But we don't always apply that. And from that marketing background and expertise that I am coming from, it's always marketing walks this fine edge of truth and not so true, or true only on some levels, but not all of them. If you dig deeper, you'll find it's a bit different. And that is what, of course, the whole social media and online sphere is pushing us towards, to losing our own capacity of digging deeper, researching, and being critical. We are kind of pushed into these mini communities or echo chambers, whatever you want to call it, and we're bombarded with only that one type of information if we are not taking charge and going in different directions. So without coming completely off the topic, and coming back to the gifting for a moment, the Inspired Gift Fair is open today to all of our visitors that are already registered. But what we are doing with this particular special session this morning, or here right now, is that we are offering an additional special opening time for new visitors. I have placed the registration link for new visitors into the chat or into the comments section of this live stream. And I will encourage our exhibitors and those that have invited others to register for this live stream to come back to you directly and give you the details of this particular registration link, so that you can make use of what we offer in gifts, in way of gifts from our core foundational group of exhibitors who are very keen to share their own gifts, to gift them to you, and receive from you the gift of connection when you are coming to visit their expo booth. So I think that is probably the best summary that I can make on that. And what we'll do is, while we have this scheduled for another hour to be open, this live stream, what has happened is, as I mentioned earlier, we have had some fall off, some drop off, some things that have happened. One of our exhibitors in particular, we are thinking of her, had an accident this morning and can't be here. So we are going to, I think we've explored the topics in depth so far, and some of our exhibitors here definitely need to move into other areas of their expertise today. And I think we might come to a close with this one now, and you can always watch the replay of this. It stays on LinkedIn, and you can replay it and watch it and take information. And like I said, you are invited to come and register to be a visitor. So what we'll do is I'll just give each of you a opportunity to say, it was great to be here, or whatever you'd like to say. Goodbye is what I'm really meaning to be clear and straight on it. All right, ladies, let's do that. Linnea, you have to jump off as well to something else. Get us started off in finalizing this particular session.
Thank you, Sigrid. And I'd like to finally leave you with this message to say that Sigrid runs some fantastic events. This is one of them. I really enjoy being part of them, and I'm always honored to be the person that she chooses to be her LinkedIn niche expert on these things. So thank you so very, very much. It's great to be an exhibitor. If you haven't yet had a look at any of our booths, the ladies who are here on the stage, please do go and have a look and download from mine the LinkedIn Mastery Playbook, which is all about how LinkedIn has changed in 2025, and you'll need to know all about that if you want to have success on LinkedIn in 2026. If you're not connected to me or are following me, please pop over to my LinkedIn profile with my name. I'm not hard to find, and please do check me out and see whether you think that there is a possibility that we may have some synergies in common. And if you would like to learn more about LinkedIn, I have a Linkability community over at linkability.biz, and you are very welcome to check that out too. Sigrid, again, thank you so much for running today's event. It's been a pleasure to be part of it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thanks for mentioning all of those details as well, Linnea. We have a great synergy and collaboration going with memberships, with the networking and your linkability, of course. Thanks, Linnea. Great. Who we have next? Joanne.
I can only say ditto to Linnea. Sigrid does an enormous amount of work in getting these virtual events going. I do see that these virtual events and booths that we have crafted as one of our other social media engagement tools. And because you can attend an event anywhere in the world at any time. And so there's an amazing array of expertise sitting in the room here and in the virtual event. So yes, please do come and visit me in the Navigate Biz booth. There's a bunch of tools in there, but do grab your pocket mentor about boundaries, because I think that is a key piece that people need to revisit before they go down the AI rabbit hole, before they go do all these other places that you can lose time that is not productive. Do connect with me on LinkedIn. Again, Joanne Brooks, there's a bunch of us, but you'll find me. Navigate Biz is connected on there as well. I'd love to connect, love to have conversations, because there's nothing better than having a conversation with people in business, talking about business. It does give me a great deal of joy. So thank you, Sigrid. I appreciate it. This has been such a robust, wonderful amount of conversation and a whole bunch of little gems. It's waving our magic wand. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Joanne. That's been really great. Thanks for that. And Diana, I always feel that there is too much perhaps spotlight on the accountant area of what you do. That's not the only thing. And the depth there is this particular area of, we can say money management, but it's that magic idea of taking it into your thinking, isn't it? Share with you what you would like to.
Yeah. Thank you, Sigrid. And as with the other ladies, thank you so much for the fabulous events that you organised. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be involved and contribute. As with the other stalls, we've also got lots of gifts on our booth. Often these tools, there's YouTubes and there's downloadable articles and there's other tools and resources that are normally part of some of our paid programs. So please go in and help yourselves to that. As with everyone else, we're always open to a conversation. There's a gift voucher there for making contact and setting up a phone chat or a Zoom chat just to get you started in the right direction. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be involved in the conversation. It's always great to bounce off each other. And as much as we've done this over past months at other events, we always dig out more information and more synergies, which is great. I would love to leave people with a couple of little messages. Use the magic wand to give yourself permission to dream the dreams, imagine the visions, the hopes, the goals, the fantasies. It's the only way anything's ever happened. Just ask the Wright brothers and everyone else that's contributed to the world that we now see as our reality, that at some point it was not reality. So the wand is about giving yourself permission to step beyond what you believe your current limitations and barriers are. Grab some balloons, keep it light, be uplifting, uplift others, and change the narrative of what you're saying to yourself and to others in life, in business, in social, in everywhere. Buy a lollipop. Remember the fun, the passion, the enthusiasm, the excitement of why we do what we do, and bring that through as you go about your day in every little part of your day. We all here to help each other. Life is meant to be a shared adventure, not a solo survival quest. So, collaborate, connect. We're here to help. The mentoring points that Linaire made, I think, were really valid, because we all do that for each other and for lots and lots and lots of people in our networks, not only in business, but in lots of spaces of our lives. And, we admit we're at that point in life where we hope we've gained some wisdom along the way through our successes and our not successes. They're all gifts, they're all lessons, but we're all here to, pay that forward, give back, be our best selves, and help others to be their best self. So, please do take advantage of the gifts and the opportunities that we are all endeavouring to share. And ladies, thank you for a lovely discussion. Sigrid, you do an amazing job. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. And I want to say to the lollipop, let's sweeten our day with it. Let's look at it from that angle as well. Sweeten the day ahead of us, or the day if you're finishing it on the other side of the world. Thanks, Diana. Thanks, Joanne. Thanks, Linaire. It was absolutely fantastic. We had some really great moments in this one here. The Inspired Gift Fair officially finishes at the end of today, Australian Day, that is. However, we have an extra opening there for special visitors. If you're registering on the link that I have put into the comments of this replay, that now will be a replay when you watch this, will be absolutely fantastic for you to come in, follow the steps, the guidance. A couple of emails will come to you on that, and then you will get access in a few hours when we have prepared everything. Thank you, ladies. Wonderful. And we'll say that's it for now from us here online from the Inspired Gift Fair.
Thank you.